You're going to take all the firearms from civilians, but police officers and military members, these are normal people. These are still individuals that experience stress, that experience mental health issues. Y'all really want only police and military to have them? Why should I trust a military member or police officer's mental stability more than my own? A lot of people on both sides are saying that people are blaming the left, people are blaming the right.
Westman's journal also contained copious amounts of anti-Semitic bile. Quote, if I will carry out a racially motivated attack, it would be most likely against filthy Zionist Jews.
This dude was radicalized by the internet.
Another video posted to YouTube in the hours before the massacre showed a cache of weapons, including a semi-automatic rifle and a shotgun. Ammunition magazines were scrawled with, quote, for the children, kill Donald Trump, and 6 million wasn't enough.
These are like conflicting views, right?
Westman, who died at the scene of a self-inflicted gunshot wound, was armed with a rifle, a shotgun, and a handgun.
So that's the New York Post. And the things that were coming out of his mouth, you could tell this is an individual that was very hurt, had a dark outlook on life, a dark outlook on the world in general. They were a very nihilistic individual. They were very negative. They didn't see much good left in the world, much positivity in the world. That's something they expressed explicitly in their manifesto. It seems like it's someone who, was radicalized in the far left communities. It's interesting because a lot of lefty communities can interpret that as a right wing kind of action, especially considering you saw some of the magazines.
Been 415 hostile acts against the church across the country this year. There's also been a sharp rise in attacks on Christians over the past 7 years.
I mean, I don't blame both sides, right, to try and politicize this. They're framing it as, this is an attack on Christians and it's an attack on Catholics specifically. This person did demonstrate a lot of right wing sentiment at the same time. All around, very peculiar situation. Now, of course, this is Fox News, so you're not going to get anyone up here saying, okay, we need to call for gun control. When people bring up gun control, where do you start and where do you end? It's mostly left leaning, politically aligning people who are supporting gun control. These people are advocating for taking firearms away from citizens. Why would you want people that you don't trust, i.e., the police or the government, right? The only people wielding these firearms. Another point, police and military are normal human beings, normal individuals. These issues that you're seeing in the United States, these are mental issues. The symptom is the violence, right? But that is indicative of another issue. So to take away the firearm, very logical conclusion to most people, but that's like cutting off the leg because you have leg pain. Okay, well, you don't have the leg pain anymore. But is that really tackling the root problem, which is mental health? Mental illness is on the rise in America. People point to saying, oh, certain countries, other countries don't have these issues because they don't have firearms. Well, they also don't have such high percentage of mental health issues in their population. A lot of the movies, a lot of the content, of course, you can't prevent that. You can't, muzzle everyone, or I should say censor, but you have to tackle the mental health at a point because political sentiments are getting very radical on the right wing or the left wing, both alike. Both sides are getting extremely radicalized. And I see it. I run an Instagram page. I get a lot of engagement. I get thousands of comments. I see that these comments are more and more radicalized as time goes on. I've been online for years. I notice, depending on which algorithm you land in, you'll get some pretty hateful comments. So an individual like this shooter here who has expressed this when they were speaking about their intentions or when they were making these videos, they've expressed these sentiments of kind of mirroring these violent sentiments, mirroring these xenophobic sentiments. May seem harmless online, but a lot of people, if they have mental issues, this really materializes into their real lives. They truly believe these things that people say. When you get these guys go on podcasts and say, certain people are subhuman, certain people are coming in and taking jobs, that's why, we're struggling. Some people take this stuff really to heart, whether it be millennials or older generations. They don't understand how the internet works. They don't understand how these comment sections work, these algorithms. They don't understand how people end up in pipelines and get radicalized.
I'm sure they're going to find mental health issues. They're going to find, patterns of behavior that weren't quite right. The question is, who did what when they learned about it? Who did they talk to? Who did they report it to? I saw, like many of you, his manifesto posted online.
When someone goes at length to write what they did in that manifesto, this is not a person who flew under the radar. People must have seen and heard things, that this person was intending to do.
At AI, there have to be some breadcrumbs that AI can work with law enforcement to find.
We've got technology coming out of our ears with everything else. I don't know why we can't do it with that.
See, right now, what they're trying to do is they're trying to sneak by consent to having more surveillance, more government overreach, when really that's not the solution. And honestly, the internet is very well policed as it is. The internet has tons of AI. You can't live stream certain things. You can't say certain words on YouTube, on Twitch, wherever the heck you are. So the internet is very well regulated at this point. This really comes down to people, right? People need to pay more attention to the people around them, and that's lost. The more people get, immersed in the internet, the less people are in the real world. People need to go outside. They need to interact with real individuals, because a lot of these online circles and these online worlds, this is not reality. And as you could see here from this individual, it's very easy to be radicalized online. Shootings continue to be a concern for policymakers and the public. Although these incidents represent one of the rarest forms of gun violence, they require different strategies from both prevention and response. Average number of deaths 3.4, average number of injured 5.3. Mass shootings have been steadily increasing in frequency since 1966. But I mean, this is considered a steady increase. If you ask any, I mean, if this were a stock, I mean, this is a buy right here, especially this pullback over here. Not to make light, not to make any joke, but all my investor guys will agree with that. This is definitely a steady increase. Okay. Majority of mass public shootings occur in workplaces and schools. This is indicative of, stressful environment. These are things that can be tackled in the workplaces, in school. You could take away every firearm tomorrow. And, again, police officers and military personnel are normal human beings. So what, you're going to take all the firearms from civilians, but police officers and military members, these are still individuals that experience stress, that experience mental health issues. Y'all really want only police and military to have them? What, you think those people are flawless? And another thing, something about police officers carry their service weapon with one in the chamber. These guys are in a McDonald's, they're at your local Burger King, they're at the park. Personally, I would never carry a firearm with one in the chamber. I know many Americans do. Second Amendment Americans carry one in the chamber, but many firearms instructors will tell you, if you don't have time to rack your slide, then you got bigger problems. Having one rack, one round in the chamber versus not having one in the chamber is not going to change much between you living or dying. It's not going to determine your life or death in many situations. The fact that it's standard practice for police officers to carry one in the chamber, that in itself is a public danger. They're carrying one in the chamber. They're normal people. These people have firearms. So why should I have great faith in my mental health. It starts with respect. You respect yourself and you respect others. I respect others around me. That's why I won't harm someone who's not trying to cause me harm. I don't appreciate people that want to try and grab my firearms. A lot of people who are anti-gun, they go to the range, they enjoy themselves, they have a great time. Why should I trust a military member or police officer's mental stability more than my own?